Alright, we're back for the first round. We're here in Cockatrice, so if you don't recognize the client, I'll try to do everything, try to explain everything as we go. I kept this hand because it has a Stalwart Aven and a couple ways to buff it up, so seems like a good keep. We drew a Throwing Knife. Would have preferred to draw a 2-drop creature, but it's acceptable. Looks like our opponent is also black-white. Drew Blessed Spirits for the turn. And we'll just drop the Throwing Knife. Possible we just want to play the Blessed Spirits next turn. Next turn we can play Way to the Underworld and grow it up to a 3, depending on what he does, of course. Fetid Imp. Okay. Not super worried about that. Throwing Knife can also take care of that. It's worth mentioning. I think I'm just going to play the Blessed Spirits first. Seems like a card we want to get out early to take use of its ability to the max, especially when we have a couple enchantments in hand already. So we actually have the makings of a decent curve right now. Next turn we're planning to Way to the Underworld that to grow this, and then the turn after that we'll have 5, so we can like equip and play our Aven, or play this and play our Aven. We have a lot of options right now, assuming he doesn't have removal for our guys, of course. I'm going to try to hover over cards as much as possible, because I know they're kind of hard to see. It's not really possible to increase the size of things. He plays a Blightcaster, which is pretty bad for me, actually. Don't have a good way of answering that at the moment. Well, the good news is we can grow the Blessed Spirits to a 3/3, so he'll have to play 2 enchantments if he wants to kill my Blessed Spirits. Unless he has a Weight of the Underworld, in which case he can kill it. But there's not much I can do about it right now. So I think I still want to Way to the Underworld here, especially because he played that, so I can put a counter on my guy. So we'll do this. It also doesn't cost us much. Like it's not really forcing us to commit resources to the Blessed Spirits. It's just some incidental value there. Could have also tried to set up a scenario where we equip Throwing Knife and Way to the Underworld the Blightcaster in the same turn to finish it off. This seems a little better. He just passes, which is a little scary. We drew Rabid Bloodsucker, which seems like a reasonable use of our mana, although we will get to shoot it down ostensibly. Alternatively, I could play the Stalwart Aven and equip it after attacking. I think either way I want to attack first and see what he does. Yep, looks like something's happening. He's just destroying it. Alright, that's fine. So I think I'm going to get the Aven down first. Just suit it up with the Throwing Knife. So yeah, if Throwing Knife didn't have the ability, if it was just 2 to cast, 2 to equip, +2/+0, it would be a mediocre card, but I think having the ability attached to it seems pretty good. So he plays Return Centaur, which is fine, so we both, or I mill 4. Oh, he's milling himself for 4, that's also fine. He mills 3 land and a Shambling Ghoul. It's fine. He passes. Shambling Ghoul. Not a great draw at this stage in the game, but it's to be expected when your opponent has a bunch of high toughness guys in their deck anyway. So we could set up a scenario here. I'm concerned about playing the Bloodsucker because Blightcaster can just shoot it down if he has an enchantment. But I was saying we could set up a scenario where we play Grasp of the Hieromancer on it in the same turn, so it can't be killed at sorcery speed. I think it's still worth it to play it here though, just because we need to get an aerial offense going. So Renown happens, so this gets a counter. Play my land, and I am just going to play the Bloodsucker here. So we both lose 2. We do have him on a 2-turn clock, assuming he can't deal with my Bloodsucker right away. 3-turn clock with just the higher, or the Aven. He found a red Saurus. He did accidentally show us Lightning Javelin earlier in the game, which I guess we're not really supposed to know about, but he misclicked, unfortunately. He is playing Lightning Javelin. Deal 3 damage to the Bloodsucker. He gets to scry 1. Don't know if this is a reprint from something or if this was created for the set. I am glad that scry is an evergreen mechanic now. So we go to 12. Knightly Valor, that was a really good draw. He has to have an instant speed way to kill this, or we get immediate value even if he's able to kill it on his turn. So let's attach that. We get 2 knights. This becomes a 6/6 vigilance. This card's just really strong. We went from being in a situation where we were kind of in an awkward race to suddenly being just dominant because of the Knightly Valor. Oh, I guess we only get 1 knight out of the deal. I glossed over that for some reason. I was thinking of Raised by Wolves from Born of the Gods, which is a similar thing, but it makes 2 tokens. But either way, we got the job done just from the +2/+2. So let's see if we want to sideboard anything in. So the Winnower, where'd it go? I'm going to hover over it so you guys can read it. Seemed like it would be pretty good in that game if we'd drawn it. Destroys Blightcasters and whatnot. I don't know exactly what the ratio is of creatures with uneven power and toughness, but should be enough that it's worth bringing in, or leaving in rather. Mighty Leap I kind of want, because he has looks like he has a bunch of defensive ground guys that we'd want to jump over, as well as just being a reasonable trick anyway. I kind of like everything else. Throwing Knife was pretty impressive that game, but it was sort of a weird game, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll try cutting the Throwing Knife, I guess, on the draw. Maybe that's wrong. Mighty Leap actually is kind of risky when he's got a bunch of removal, so the Throwing Knife might just be better. So I guess I'll just go in with no sideboarding.